Alright, so I'm in a huge mood today, and I wanted to record something, and I was talking to some of my guys about just this update as a whole, what's been going on with the update. So if you don't know, because I don't post much when it comes to Roblox, or not very often, um, I really like Dandy's World, and I'm gonna make a video on it someday, just kind of going over Dandy's World, just going over the game itself, why I like it so much. I actually have a whole script I'm planning out slowly but surely, because obviously I am still in school and all that. But recently, and by recently, it's been like 3 weeks. I'm really, really slow to this. I know. Recently, though, the game released a special update for the holiday season, and it came out with about four characters. It was four characters, those being Rudy, Ginger, Cole, and Bobette. And they released some skins for that and all the other trinkets and mastery and twisteds and a whole new floor and all that stuff. And the more I've been playing this update, the more I've come to realize that this update is, I don't want to say the worst update in the history of the game, because that is totally false. I think there are updates that have been worse. And I wouldn't even say this is a bad update. What I more want to say about this update is that this update has me very concerned for what the future of the game is going to look like. And so I wanted to just make a video kind of talking about why. And I think some of these are things that a lot of people have had a sentiment on, including my other friends who play this game, including other people I've talked to who have been playing this game. So I'm just going to kind of go over some of the main points, kind of talk about why. This is totally unscripted. Again, I have a video that will probably be a little bit more scripted coming out in the future, going over more of the positives with the game and why the game is actually really good. Just kind of my personal opinion. I think this is a phenomenal game for anyone who wants to get into just gaming as a whole, whether that be the horror genre, whether that be Roblox gaming, like especially for people who just want to try gaming for the first time, people who may not have much of a gaming background. I think this game is a phenomenal way to get into the gaming scene. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. What I'm here to talk about today is just kind of give my own thoughts about why this update wasn't that great in comparison to every other update and aspect of the game, and what could be done in the future. I am going to give a couple things to try and talk about how they could improve down the line. And I do want to just giant preface, this is my own opinion, totally subjective. If you absolutely adore this update, awesome. Again, I love this game. I love people who enjoy this game. So if you love this update, I'm very happy for you. I just want to express my own grievances with the current update and what could be done. So without further ado, let me first talk about probably one of my biggest gripes, and that's going to be the characters themselves. So one of the things that I instantly put down for my script for the other video that I'm making is that this game's characterization, just like the tunes, the twisteds, are so diverse, so cool, and for what they're going for this cartoony feel, it is perfect. I think every character has their own place, every character has their own role they fit, and even if some of the characters have like similar playstyles, they all feel incredibly fresh. Like even for someone like a Distractor, for example, the way you play Pebble versus the way you play Goop is just infinitely different, and I love that. With that being said, this update did really poorly in that regard. Actually, the previous update had two characters. It was Connie and Louie, and I think they were some of the best characters that they've ever released. I think Louie is, if a little strong for a common character, he's still incredibly unique. I love what he does, and I think Connie is just as unique of a character that not really many other characters even remotely fit the vibe of. And then we got to this update, and I was excited to hear that we were getting not just two, but four new characters. I thought that was going to be really, really cool. And then I started playing, and as it kind of turns out, the characters are, for the most part, very mediocre. The characters lack diversity. They're really, if you go and look at some of the interactions between them and the other characters, which, first off, there's not that many. Maybe I'm just like, I don't play enough to see all the different interactions with them, but I have noticed very few interactions between the Christmas characters that aren't just with each other. Like, every Christmas character has interactions with other Christmas characters, but there's very few outside of that, it feels like, that ever pop up during gameplay, and it kind of sucks. And on top of that, just as a whole, those interactions themselves are so boring. They're bland. The characters are super bland. I don't really feel bad saying that. Like, again, going back to the previous update, Louie and Connie had very special personalities that, like, while some characters might feel similar, it doesn't take away from those other characters. The only character I remotely thought had any sense of, like, uniqueness to their personality was probably Ginger, and that's it. And even then, it's kind of just Cosmo if Cosmo was quieter. It's not insanely different. It's more just like, oh, we're trying to be quirky and this is what we're gonna do. I don't know. I wasn't very impressed by their very minimalistic dynamics with each other and with other toons, and they just don't feel unique. Their interactions don't feel unique. And I think this is, again, very, very personal side note. This might not be the same for everybody. I don't see many characters, gosh. I don't see many people enjoying the characters the same way that I saw with Louie and Connie. Like, when Louie and Connie came out, I kid you not, the amount of people playing those tunes right off the bat was insane. Like, everybody was playing them, and even like a week after the update, I was still seeing people just doing Louis runs, just doing Connie runs, like, all the time. People, even today, I still see people who prefer to play those characters over any other character in the game. Then, when this update came out, it was like, the first time you get your hands on the character, it's really nice, and like the first few days, obviously everyone was playing the new characters, and now, like, again, outside of like Ginger, I don't really see many people playing the characters. Like, I don't see many Rudies, I don't see many Coles, I see like maybe a Bobette or two, and maybe a Ginger or two, and I think the only reason I even see Ginger very often is because she's a healer, and obviously healers in this game are invaluable. Like, they're huge, you literally need them for any run past like floor 25-ish. So that kind of sucks, and I think that also just kind of hits home with people aren't as invested with these holiday characters nearly to the degree that some of the other characters in the game are. Like, for example, the character I'm literally playing right now, Finn. I can't tell you the amount of fan art I see every day of this character compared to any of the event characters right now. And it's kind of sad. It's really kind of sad if you think about it. But again, that's just more of a personal tangent. I don't know if that's actually valid, so if someone would like to confirm if that is valid or not, I would love it, or I would love to talk to you about it. But anyways, that's just like my first big point. My second big point, and this is the one I really want to go over, is the gameplay. Okay? I think that a lot of my gripes have come from mostly the gameplay. So, one of the biggest ones that I still vividly think about a lot, and I think a lot of people do, is this was the first update where it felt like a lot of characters were just being reused for the sake of being reused. Again, I can't, like, speak on that too much. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but a lot of abilities feel very recycled. And this is a point that I've heard many people echoing. Like, Rudy is just Flutter's dash, but smaller and quicker. Or Ginger is literally 1-to-1 Cosmo heal. Or Bobette is kind of just Connie's ability, but slightly longer. Stuff like that. Cole is literally just Pebble's passive, but for everybody now. Like, literally, none of the characters have a very specialized ability outside of Bobette's, and even Bobette's is basically just a reskin of what Connie can do, just for longer, but you're also stationary when you use it. That's it. So, again, I'm not blaming them. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, so I'm not going to speak on behalf of, like, saying, oh, this is terrible, oh, it's so bad, this update's trash. I'm not trying to say that this update is trash. It's not trash. It's a very good update. I just think it could have been infinitely better. And that's what I'm trying to say here. The update wasn't trash, and the ability, it does kind of suck that the abilities were reused, but I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. But on top of that, I would have also liked to see at least a little bit more diversity and interesting styles with these characters, because the characterization was already kind of fumbled a little bit with how kind of basic and generic they were, like personality and interaction wise. So it also sucks to see that that carried over into the way they play. Again, the only character I even see being played very often is Ginger, and that's more because of her gameplay, because her gameplay is just a one-to-one to Cosmo, and because Cosmo is an important character for healing, Ginger just kind of falls into that same role. There's really nothing else to it. So, does it suck? Yes, but not much we can do about that. Going further on that, I would also like to talk about the fact that their trinkets, oh my gosh, their trinkets. Okay, these trinkets are useless. I used Rudy's trinket a little bit, the one where it highlights the ornaments for you every floor. And I do think having something like that is nice, but it very quickly brought up a point between my friends and I. We were talking about it, and it's like, who is going to use this after this event is over? Like, genuinely, who is going to use this? There's no point in using this anymore. As soon as you get, like, all the items in the like, all the ornaments that you need for the event, after you've gotten all the tunes and all the skins and whatnot, what is there left to use that trinket for? Like, it is seriously less useful than brick or than coal, because at least those trinkets have a purpose, and that purpose is to make the game harder. This genuinely loses its purpose after you've finished the event. If you're someone who's already finished the event, and I know there are people out there who have already because they, like, completely no-life the game, what do you do? What do you do with a trinket? There's no point. There's no point in using it. And that sucks. Again, one of the biggest things about this game that I like is that everything feels like it is diverse, and everything feels like there is something to like about it. Every character, like, every character before this update, every trinket before this update, for the most part, again, not every single one, but most of them felt like they had a reason. They had a point in being there. And then this update came out and almost disproved that entirely by making a trinket like this that loses all purpose after the event is over. And to my knowledge, again, I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong about this, but I've heard no mention of there being any, like, updates to this. So hopefully this trinket gets reworked to serve a better purpose down the line, but I have not heard of that so far. So there's that. And that's only one trinket. There's 3 more. There's, I think it's called Peppermint Icing, which gives you stamina for using your active ability. Only useful trinket in the entire update. Like, that's the only one I even remotely see people using still. There's also Coal, which obviously is a challenge trinket like Shrimpo's. I think it's fine, but at the same time, I think it's, like, Shrimpo's made sense because it's his character, and also because he's a common character, so it's not that big of a deal. I honestly think that the Coal trinket should have probably been something also from a common Twisted, and not from Coal, who is a rare character, and thus takes a while to grind. And I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into the grind in a second here. But point is, like, Cole's trinket, I almost said his. It's a her. I'm so sorry. I need to work on that. I'm so sorry. Her trinket, who from a rare character feels kind of crappy when you've gone through the pain of playing multiple games just to get Cole's research done, not mastery. Cole's research done. and all you get is a challenge trinket. Like, again, it felt great from a common twisted like Shrimpo, but from a character like Cole, I would have liked to see something a little different. I would have liked to see something a little bit more impressive. And then there was Bobette's Trinket. Now, Bobette's Trinket, I think, is very middle of the line, since it only works in the elevator, but I think it also genuinely served a purpose. And I would have liked to see something more like that, but I think it also could have been tweaked slightly to be a little bit more interesting. Because, like, obviously not every character is going to greatly benefit from the ability to just refresh in the elevator. I think some do. Some definitely do, but not everybody. Like, as an example, you're not going to get much value out of V's ability by using it. Because, like, yeah, you can pop it multiple times, but once you've seen him once, like, you're pretty good on where to go. But then you have a character like Tisha, for example, who very greatly benefits from the Trinket. So, things like that. But I'm not going to comment too much on Bobette's Trinket. Wow, I am stumbling. Trinket. Bobette's Trinket could have been a lot better, but I think it's also not a terrible Trinket. The only Trinket, though, I even see people running consistently is, again, that peppermint icing one. So, kind of unfortunate. And I think overall, the Trinkets were just, like, really, really lackluster compared to, like, some of the other updates, which served a purpose. Again, I hate to go back to this update so much, but Louie and Connie, their Trinkets are so, so, so helpful. I still see people running them. There is, like, genuine builds now just revolving around Louie's and Razzle Dazzle's Trinket. Because both of them both of them have the same effect, but now it's like a yin to the yang. It actually serves a purpose compared to other trinkets, like, again, Rudy's, that loses all purpose once you're done with the update. Bruh! And then Connie's, same thing, like, we already had Cosmos, right? That gives you the, like, percentage of your active ability decreased, so you get it slightly faster. But now you have Connie's that gives you just a flat second advantage. So now, depending on the character and how quick they get their thing back, you can actually choose Connie's Trinket over Cosmos and get a better advantage. But sometimes Cosmos is actually better, and it just depends on who you're playing at that given moment. And I love stuff like that. I love stuff that's very similar, but still has its own unique purpose. And again, it has just been so lackluster in this update. So, I hate to go on a tangent like that, but that's just kind of my point there. Now, the point that I think really hurt the most is the grind. On day one, my buddy and I, we kind of talked about it. We were in a little group chat, and I started running some numbers, because if you don't know me, I love numbers. I'm going in for engineering for a reason. I'm going into biomedical for a reason, and that's because I love numbers. I know, I'm clinically insane probably for liking math and numbers, but I love numbers. And I love the statistics. I love knowing what is going on beyond just generic labels, like slightly or moderately. I like to know the numbers. So I started doing those numbers. And from what I calculated, for doing for getting everything in the game, which would include the tunes, which would include the skins, which would include everything else, just ornaments. This isn't even talking about research, by the way, for like Bobette or Cole or Ginger, for like the trinkets that you needed for Cole, or like the 50% for Ginger or the 100% for Bobette, which on its own right was kind of a problem. So, just for the ornament portion, you would need to play 50, if not 60 games, assuming you are hitting floor 20 and above while collecting every single ornament, seeing every single twisted, and completing about 60 to 70% of the machines With all those in mind, you would need about 50 to 60 games on day one in order to get everything. I don't know, like, where in the process someone said, like, okay, that works, but 50 to 60 games is a lot. And I mean a lot of games. For reference, 50 games, assuming we're doing, like, the nice side, and we're saying 50 games-ish. 50 games, and the average game is about an hour to an hour and a half, so again, I'll be nice and say about an hour. That is still over 2 days straight of playing Dandy's World. Now, I know that some people have that time. Not everybody has that time, though. Especially, like, now that we're getting back in school and all that stuff. Not everybody has enough time to sit down and grind out the game like that. So to ask for almost 50 to 60 hours is absolutely baffling. For day one. Like, I don't know where, like, I'm genuinely surprised that at no point did anyone consider, oh, that might be a problem. Again, I don't know what happens behind the scenes. I just think, like, it is baffling that something like that happened. And that it had to be reworked literally day two by how quickly people realized it was going to be a pain in the neck to grind out that many ornaments in a game like Dandy's World. And that is not considering other aspects. Like, example, Twisted Bobbette. Twisted Bobbette was a character that a lot of people were saying was a little broken by the fact that she was as fast as Pebble. Again, this is very subjective. I don't think she needed to be tweaked. I think that the fact that she was as fast as Pebble just gave her a good reason to be a main character. Because her whole thing with, like, being able to hear you from picking up items just isn't enough. I think that, if anything, you can manipulate the crap out of that just fine. So, honestly, I don't think she needed the nerf. Because that was one of the things that made her unique. And granted, it's still pretty okay. Like, she's still fast. But I think that she was fine where she was. Total side tangent, I know. The point being, day one was baffling. The fact that the ornament thing was just absurdly grindy feeling. And then the only way to get them even remotely quicker than that was to buy them. Like, I'm not going to say that felt scummy, because I know it's not in their intentions to do anything like that. But it still felt like what was going, like, we wanted to know what was going on, because that's a little crazy. Now, just as a whole, with all that being said and done, the overall consensus that I kind of came to was that while this update was fine, there did need to be a little bit of quality control. And I think this is the perfect example of why. Things like not thinking about the fact that we had, like, a complete rework on day two, like day 1 or 2 of the update. Things like that that just slipped by everything else, but then as soon as it hit the community, just went wildfire. And was, like, instantly picked up how grindy it was going to be. Like, how did that not get picked up? And the new tunes feeling pretty generic, and the just reused abilities with slight changes or no changes at all, like the thing with Ginger. Things like that, just, while I liked the update, that's where I kind of ask about the quality control, like what was going on behind the scenes. That's what I would like to know, because that's what has me worried, is if we're going to keep getting updates like this one down the line. If we get something like that down the line, I think that could genuinely be the thing that starts hurting Dandy's World more than what's already happened in the past that I'm not going to bring up here. So, with everything being said, with the lack of diversity with the characters, with the bland interactions with the characters, with the reuse abilities, with the playstyles being exactly the same, with the grind, obviously I don't want this to be just straight up negativity over and over and over. So I also want to go over what, again, subjectively, what I would like to see for the future that could improve the game as a whole. And, oh my gosh, hello, throat. Sorry. Like I said, totally unscripted. My throat is killing me, so this is going to stay in the video. With that being said, I want to just go over a few things that I would like to see. And again, I would love to talk to people about this. I would love to be able to have conversations about why I feel like this. So if you have any sort of like agreement, or if you disagree with what I'm saying, I would love to know that. Because I would love to hear what you guys think about this update as well, and what you think could be improved just as much as what I think could be improved. So with that being said, the first one I'd like to see, and this is probably my like hottest take right here, I don't think there needs to be a new currency. Or if there is, the earnings should be improved to get that currency. So for an example, the way you get Ichor. If you don't know, part of the reason why you get Ichor so quickly is because you also get it just for going floors. Yes, you get it from completing machines, yes, you get it from collecting capsules, but the big one is that you also get it just for completing enough floors. And the problem is that ornaments aren't like that. Ornaments you don't get for just completing floors. You have to get them from completing machines, or by picking them up, or by seeing Twisteds, as you've probably seen in this video that I'm playing right now. Yes, this is live footage. Surprise. So, that's one of my big things. If we're going to have a new currency, which I understand why they did it, and I'm not saying it's a totally bad idea, but they need to improve the way you get it so that you don't feel like you have to be actively, constantly engaging with the game in order to get that currency. You should be able to be rewarded just by playing the game. And that's why I like the way you unlock characters through the Ichor currency, or the skins through the Ichor currency. Because with those, you don't have to be some godlike being doing every machine. Because, I mean, I'm playing a solo run, so obviously I'm completing every machine and I'm going to get a lot of ornaments from this. I'm going to see most of the Twisteds I encounter, and I'm going to get all the ornaments there. But not everybody's going to be able to do that. Some people are going to just want to play 8-player lobbies. They're playing just to play. They don't care about solo runs. And so not every player is going to be able to play and get the same amount of ornaments as I can get in a solo run. And it's going to take them longer in an event that already feels pretty lengthy, pretty grindy. So one of my improvements would just be to give out ornaments for going floors, for surviving. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, because obviously some people at that point can just cheese the update by standing there doing nothing. However, I don't think that's going to be a huge deal compared to the people who are actively engaging, because the people actively engaging are still going to earn more than those people doing nothing. But you're also being more rewarded for just playing the game, which is huge, in my opinion. So I would like to see that. Just giving 3 ornaments per floor you go, I think would be a massive improvement. Just it doesn't need to be 5, like doing machines or anything like that. It just needs to be a set number to where you feel rewarded for also going the floors. So that's my first one. Just make the currency easier to get so the event is less grindy, so that people don't feel like it is a chore to play the event. On top of that, the characters should feel unique. It doesn't matter if they're just part of a little event, they need to feel unique. One of the things that absolutely carries this game that I don't see a lot anymore is the fact that every character is so unique. Even a character like Poppy and Boxton, the starter characters in the game, have fresh, dynamic, and unique personalities that some people can connect to and want to engage with. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a ship like Fruitcake, Cosmo, and Sprout. And you know what's funny? This character that's about to pass my screen is a common character. He's common. You see him all the time. And yet, he's such a fresh and unique and dynamic character. And that goes with all the other common characters. That goes for all the other uncommon characters. And it sucks, but these event characters just aren't the same way. I don't see people engaging with Rudy and Ginger and Cole and Bobette nearly to the same degree I see people engaging with Dandy and Astro and Goob and Scraps and all these other characters, even characters that you barely see in a run, like Brightney or Flutter, people adore. So that sucks, and that feels so crappy when you have to say something like that after smash hit after smash hit, great character after great character. To see something like that is, I'm not gonna say disheartening, but it's just kind of disappointing. And as someone who is very passionate for this game as well, that's what really hits to that level. So I think just taking an extra step to make those characters feel just as dynamic and interesting as everybody else in the roster would have been huge. And I hope going forward, just taking that little extra second to look over those characters is going to be beneficial. And last but not least, again, I know this isn't like for perfect everybody details here. This is more of a personal thing. This game as a whole is very good at blending a casual and an experienced experience. You don't have to be a pro at this game to be good at this game. And you don't have to be a pro at this game to have fun at this game. It's a game that's not looking to be competitive. It's a game that's just looking to be fun. I've made countless friends, some of which are very close to me, as a result of playing this game. And going forward, I want to see events that aren't so grindy and kind of off-putting to people who are new to this game. This community is already pretty divisive about new players. And I think that's something that's been pretty honed in on a lot lately, is not many people really understand the importance of being a new player, playing the game for the first time, being welcomed into the community. I've seen a lot of people who stereotype Poppy and Boxden players as being new and being crappy at the game, and that could be far from the truth. They just want to have fun on a brand new game. That's how I got into it, is just searching through Roblox, finding a new game, and trying it for the first time with some buddies, and we had a blast. And then I started showing it to other friends, and they had a blast. And now it's one of their favorite games, and it's a game we come back to way more often than not. So, kind of wrapping back to everything, the gameplay itself needs to be, first and foremost, an event, but an event that anybody can do, not just people who have 50 to 60 hours to crunch into a game. Because not everybody can do that. People have school, people have jobs, people have content creation as a job. I personally don't have that. I just make videos for fun, but I still have to take the time to do this, to type all the editing out and to record this and to upload it is time. Time that could be spent doing other things, like playing this game with friends. And again, people have other outside duties, so they might not be able to sink 2 straight days of time into an update. So moving forward, and this, I want to emphasize this as well, this is entirely something of my personal preference. If you're someone who plays this game for the pro lobbies, for the 50 floor plus runs, good on you. I'm glad you see the game that way. From personal experience and from a subjective take, as someone who plays this game a lot, and has gone to those high floors, but also just plays on a day-to-day basis, this update didn't feel nearly as casual and nearly as rewarding, especially to a new player, than previous updates. And going forward, I would like to see events that are not as grindy and difficult to get through compared to what this event was. But overall, that's my take. Again, I just want to say this again. I'm not making this over 30-minute video just to hound on the update and say it was terrible. It's not a terrible update. The update is great. Just, it could have been so much better. Because I know that the studio behind this game has amazing talent, and it has been shown countless times that they have absolutely incredible talent. And I really hope that this video isn't a video to dishearten anybody and to make it seem like I'm hounding on the game. I'm making this video to hopefully kind of just show that people want their absolute best because they adore their absolute best. And I just want this game to flourish. So I want to make this video to just kind of show them and just talk about what could have been done better so that hopefully down the line when future updates come out, we can start seeing some of those best moments from them and keep the insanely high quality that this game already has and people fell in love with since day one. So if you have a different take, if you have something you would like to say, I'm more than happy to hear it. I would love to talk to anybody about this subject or make a future video discussing what I'm talking about here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was at least a little bit enjoyable, and I'll see y'all next time.